Welcome back. You're watching a special edition of ET Inside. India's agenda for renewal also includes making land acquisition transparent and fair, improving inter-ministerial coordination on contentious approvals, turning education into a for-profit industry, and encouraging transparency in political funding to curb corruption. Here's why.
The voices against corporate acquisition of land are getting louder. And the absence of a proper framework has resulted in delays, cost overruns and the stalling of several billion-dollar projects. But these projects are important for economic development. The government has to strike the right balance between the interests of industry and those who lose their livelihoods. But it's easier said than done.
Government is right when they are concerned about the welfare of the farmers or those people who are being dispossessed of their land. And equally the private sector needs to now know you will not get land just because the government acquires them for you at terms which are not favorable to farmers.
But big ticket investments have been adversely affected because of this. According to Projects Monitor, 692 infrastructure projects worth 1.72 lakh crore rupees were stalled primarily on account of delays in environmental clearance and land acquisition. That makes many believe that the government's obsession with inclusiveness has become an obstacle to economic growth.
Without growth, there will be no progress. Growth is required for financing the progress. And clearly infrastructure can only be financed, infrastructure can only be put in place, whether it is physical infrastructure or social infrastructure, if the economy is doing well.
So India is better off having a clear, equitable and transparent policy on land. The draft Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Bill of 2011 was to be the government's answer to this problem. On the contentious issue of compensation, the bill stated that farmers must be paid at least twice the market value in urban areas and 4 times the market price in rural areas. Comprehensive as the scheme sounds, many industry leaders are against the implementation of the bill because it raises costs substantially and makes infrastructure projects unviable.
We need to have some mechanism whereby we make land available to industries at affordable rates. And here, creation of these townships, the manufacturing hubs, etc., is a way in which we can make these things happen.
But that's easier said than done. According to the World Trade Organization's Doing Business report, it takes at least a month to finish the procedures to start a business in India. Getting permits for construction takes another 227 days. But that's nothing when compared to the 1,420 days it takes to enforce contracts in the country. Little wonder then that India is ranked 132nd out of 183 countries in terms of ease of doing business. To change this, India needs to improve its inter-ministerial coordination on contentious approvals.
What we need is a single point authority which can actually address these challenges and lay down what can be done, what cannot be done, and then stick to it. Because if you don't do that, I would think people who want to invest are going to shy away, and people who want to lend to these investors are going to shy away.
From building businesses to building human capital, India has the world's 3rd biggest higher education system with 14.6 million students and 31,000 institutions, next only to China and the US. But the gross enrollment ratio, GER, or the number of people enrolling as percentage of the total number of individuals eligible for higher education is just 13.8% compared to the world average of 26%. And that is a worrying factor.
There should be no need for any licensing by the government. In fact, I've always been saying that, look, we de-licensed industry in 1991, and why are we still licensing education in 2011? It doesn't make sense.
The Planning Commission has set a target of achieving a GER of 15% by 2012 and 21% by 2017. And the Ministry of Human Resource Development has set a GER target of 30% by 2020. That means that an additional capacity of 25 million seats will have to be created by 2020. Is it possible? Yes, but the sector needs to grow much faster than it has been growing in the past decade. According to Ernst & Young and FICCI, if India needs to meet these targets, its higher education sector has to grow multiple times from a CAGR of 3.3 currently to 8%. But to grow at 8%, the private sector, which accounts for 52% of investments, will have to pump in 5,20,000 crore rupees. That's a lot of money, and it cannot come from the domestic market. So the sector has to have more foreign participation. But that can only happen when India changes its regulatory environment by reducing the number of regulators, increasing institutional autonomy, and most importantly, doing away with the mandatory non-profit structure for educational institutions.
Profits are being made by every private school, and you're forcing companies, you're forcing people who want to get into education to have a trust and have a management company, and the management company provides services to the trust and the trust doesn't make money, but the management company is making money. So we are just killing our own selves.
What's also killing us is the low public confidence in the government. It's not easy to choose the path that best serves a country of 1 billion people with myriad needs. To find a suitable solution, one must understand the root of the problem, which is a lack of transparency in electoral funding and political finance, and a complex administrative structure. That in turn leads to an industry-politician nexus where money ends up influencing decision making.
Sometimes in our privacy we tend to be glib, but there is no quick fix. It's going to be hard work, it's going to be dedicated work, there has to be commitment from all sections of society, and answers will emerge.
Last year, the Central Vigilance Commission prepared a draft anti-corruption strategy to provide a framework for preventing and combating corruption. The CVC had recommended having an overall cap on all sources of electoral and political funds and making all political payments through plastic cards or bank accounts, including last-mile payments to volunteers and party workers.
If there is will in senior leaders of, let's say, Congress and BJP, forget the others, if these two say they can fight politically, but economically what's good for the country should be done, half our problems will get solved.
Industry has spoken, the agenda is spelled out, and now it's time for the government to act.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our special coverage this week. We'll be back next week with a 360-degree view of the big picture in business and economy. But until then, don't forget to write in with your feedback and suggestions. Thanks so much for watching.